Hi, I'm Kate, one of the speech-language pathologists at OSNS, and I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about learning body parts. Parents, you'll probably have noticed that your family doctor will ask you this question, your speech therapist might ask you this question, your health nurse will ask you questions at a certain age, and the question is, does your child point to body parts? You'll hear different milestones for this. Usually around 12 months, a child will be able to start to point to one body part. Around 18 months, somewhere between 3 and 6 different body parts. And that's body parts on themselves, on you, a parent or a caregiver, or on a doll or a teddy bear. And to be honest, the reason this comes up a lot is not so much that people are actually interested in whether your child knows their body parts, but it's a good representation of both their language development and their cognitive development. Body parts are something that typically comes up a lot during a day, during diaper changes, during bath time, and so they're one of the things that children are generally expected to know that they pick up through the course of those different interactions. So if your child doesn't know body parts yet and you wanted to teach them, the good news is that all of those different interactions will give you a lot of opportunity to work on those things. I often say if you're going to start with a body part, start with a body part that a child can see. Sometimes we like to start with these body parts here. Your children can't see their own eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. They can see their own feet, their own hands, their own tummy. So those are actually better parts to start with. Tummy is a nice one. Tummy comes up a lot during diaper changes, when you're having a bath, when you're getting dressed. You could use the word tummy, you can use the word belly button. It doesn't really matter what you use as long as it's the same one, because when we're working with young children, we don't want to confuse them by teaching them body parts, different names for the same things. We don't want to teach tummy and belly button. I'd choose one or the other. And I always recommend to start with one body part at a time. So work on tummy for a while and then move to feet. And the same thing would apply to your feet. You either use the word toes or you use the word feet. Try not to use both of those words because that can be somewhat confusing for a child who's just learning their body parts. I would also recommend working on body parts that are far apart when you're starting out. So working on belly button and then working on toes and then maybe working on knees. And there's lots of fun ways to work on this as well, and as the normal ways that they would come up throughout the day in terms of having a bath and we're washing your tummy and we're washing your knees. There's also nice songs. Head and shoulders is a nice one that probably everybody knows. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. You can change the words to that too if you're looking at doing different body parts. It could be tummy, knees, toes, and shoulders, something like that. And then of course, the end we do eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Again, those parts would be hard for a child to see, but they can certainly imitate you doing those actions, or they can do them on you. When you're working on understanding language with a child, it's also important to teach them to generalize that word, that when we say tummy, it's not just their tummy, but it's also your tummy, or it's Otis's tummy, for instance, and Otis has toes, and you have toes, and your child has toes. So they're learning what that word relates to everybody's body part and not just their own body parts. And of course, when we're working on language for understanding as well, we're not expecting at first for your child to imitate the label you're giving them. We're really just hoping that they understand it and they can demonstrate that understanding by pointing to or touching the body part we're talking about.